Demon by Jason Shiga is another storyline. It's an original comic book that I almost didn't check out. The reason why even it was on my radar was because the library just ordered volume 3, and the storyline, it's just called Demon, so you don't really know what that is, but the artwork for volume 3 is what I saw. It's really cartoony and dopey looking, so I thought that kind of turned me off a little bit until I clicked on the description to find out what it's about. Demon is about Jimmy Yee. He is a man who's sitting in a motel room writing a suicide note. He tries to kill himself by hanging, however, he wakes up in a motel room. So he tries to kill himself a different way, wakes up in a motel room. Tries to kill himself in another way, wakes up in a motel room. He does not know what's going on. He's seemingly immortal, he keeps getting up. So he jumps in front of a truck, wakes up in a hospital room. He finds out that he has a sort of possession power and he cannot die. Whenever he dies, he goes into the nearest person next to him in a sort of demon possession-like way. Now this concept isn't original because there is a movie from 1998 called Fallen, starring Denzel Washington, in which a demon does that. A demon has been dipping around different people and then killing them, and then whenever that person faces execution, it moves on to the next host so that it can move around by touch. In this series, you can only move on when you kill yourself, so it's a little bit different. However, Jimmy is a character who doesn't have much characterization at the beginning. However, when he finds out he has these powers, he's trying to figure out what he wants to do. And he ends up going against the OSS. They are a secret organization that wants to recruit him to do a mission. However, he doesn't want to do that at all. So the first volume sort of explores the rules of the possession. It has some action in it. And people might be turned off by the sort of simplistic artwork of the entire thing. It's very simple. A lot of characters look the same. It almost reminds me of like those Flash animations from like the 90s or 2000s that people would do, because the violence is sort of done in a sort of cutesy way. All the characters are drawn, you know, very similar. There isn't a lot of different styles for different characters. There's a lot of bald people with these dots for the hair in this story. I didn't like the artwork that much. However, you have to give props to the ambition of the storyline. Demon is an original story. There's 4 volumes. The first volume sort of goes over all of the different rules and him going up against the OSS. So volume 2 continues the story immediately. As he's taking on the OSS, he's trying to find out and get revenge on someone from his past. We find out a little bit more about why he wanted to kill himself at the beginning of the series and what he's going to do from now on. So we introduce another character as he goes on, another character, and he has this big climax against the OSS. Volume 3 continues the story, however, it does a time skip, and that probably hurts the story a little bit. The first 2 volumes of Demon can be described in the vein of Death Note or any crime thriller with a supernatural edge to it. Anything that, like, you add in like werewolves to like a cop procedural drama, it becomes a game of cat and mouse. It's not like full-on action. It does have like balls-to-the-wall action sequences, but it's more of a grounded crime thriller. However, Volume 3 goes away from that a little bit. We find out that Jimmy and his this other character, they can live really long. So they time skip 80 years to the future where they're just sort of hanging around doing stuff. And then the series sort of dips into a slow sort of, I don't know, the first half is like character development and things going on. The second half more action, but it goes really over the top and leaves it on a cliffhanger. And then Volume 4 is the final installment of the series, in which it's just a full-on sort of fever dream of just over-the-top, unrealistic stuff. I didn't really like the second half of the series. The first half is really fun because it's like, what if a character with no skills wanted to do something and then other people tried to stop him? It becomes a fun game of cat and mouse. But then the second half of the series just goes balls to the wall fantasy, over the top, something it's almost like he tried to top himself a little bit, and then it just sort of went so over the top that it kind of implodes on itself, it becomes too eccentric. I didn't like the second half. The first half was enjoyable. Overall, it's a very interesting read for me. I definitely recommend checking out if you're just in the mood for a quick read. Yeah, I'm just going to show you what one page looks like. It's a quick read because simply the way the panels are so large and there's not a lot of dialogue. So in the sense, it is a quick read. You could probably go through the entire series in a day or two if you can find it from the library. I wouldn't say it's an amazing series. It's not like a, oh, drop everything you're doing now and go get it, but it's a really interesting concept. I like the audacity of him doing all of the artwork and doing it all himself. So it is a lot of black humor. Could have used a little bit more. Could have used a little bit more groundedness in the last 2 volumes. But Demon is a very interesting original comic book. It's definitely something that I think if you like stuff that mixes genres like Code Geass or Death Note, cat and mouse sort of stories, then you'll like Demon. Except for like maybe the third and fourth volume are a little over the top. But other than that, you can check it out if you feel like it.